Hi, I'm Fiona Curtis, CWU National Officer. Do you want to introduce yourself, Graham?
Yeah, I'm Graham Colk. I'm chair of the Openreach National Team and a member of the CWU National Executive.
And yeah, hello, I'm Joshua Barclay and I'm on the CWU National Team.
Thank you, Josh and Graham. So today we're going to discuss Project Swift. So especially for a lot of individuals that might not be aware of what Project Swift actually is. We know that Openreach like their project names, but basically what it is, and Josh, you can help me out in this one, because Josh is actually an Ethernet engineer, and this is what it actually is badged to. And it's around Openreach trying to move swiftly with their with their Ethernet jobs to try and complete them quicker than what they were doing previously. And in particular, it was around there were some jobs that were in the queue for quite some time, and the terminology in Openreach is that they were sitting in the tails. So they were weeks and months sitting there because they were struggling getting access to premises. And we know that a lot of times with Ethernet, it's businesses that are trying to get access to, and we know that the businesses are actually open like majority of the time, and the engineers can get access to it. But we do know, though, on the back of it, that we've had a lot of concerns and queries raised on it. But I don't know whether, Josh, do you want to come on? Do you want to say anything more actually about what Project
Yeah,
Swift is?
I will just, and that was a good summary for me there, Fiona. And I suppose that, that there is, there's a whole piece on why Swift has come about and why Openreach have come up with Swift. And look, I want to be blunt first of all that Openreach had no consultation with us with Project Swift. They never came to us to discuss it. This only came about because by pure chance I spoke to one of my colleagues in one of the exchanges near to where I live, and they brought up Project Swift. So I just want to make that point clear, first of all, that they never came to us to discuss it. And I think that's part of the issue with Swift. We all understand exactly why Openreach want to do Swift, that it does get to customers quicker, gets them in service, and of course in a marketplace where there is other competitors as well, it's important for Openreach to keep a slice of that pie, as they say, and of that Ethernet pie is very much under threat from other competitors. So of course, the quicker you can get a customer in service, the more likely they are to use Openreach in the future, which in turn protects our members, and that's important as well. Look, we're not anti anything Openreach suggests. We're not that, but we'd like them to work with us, and particularly around something like Project Swift, where we've had now so many issues arise and so much feedback from yourself, the members, which I really appreciate, as do my colleagues, that we need Openreach to work with us here to see how this Swift and what direction it goes in. So yeah,
I think we are back round the table on this, but as Josh said, if they'd come to us initially, one, we would have understood it more, and maybe shared some of the desire to speed the processes up, which would enable people to maintain their jobs, basically, because they'll continue to win a share of the market. I think what we would have liked to have done, and this is where Josh has been very active getting information, it does impact people in the field, and it does impact people on the desk.
Yeah.
And those people are obviously now concerned about what it means for their roles, what it means for their job, what it means for the skills that they deploy, and some of the issues we have. And you might want to explain some of the feedback we've already had, but obviously we want more feedback from them. But I think particularly what people's concerns are in terms of skills and so on.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really important point, Graham. These are a lot of the concerns that have come in from the feedback. And I've sort of been gathering feedback from the length and breadth of the UK, really, from field and desk. And it seems to be a lot of the same things have cropped up, which tells me that these are real issues. They're not just one-off occurrences that, sometimes can be portrayed by the business. And some of these are that you've got a job description as an Ethernet engineer. You're skilled, you're highly trained staff. We know that. I think, you know that, and I'd like to think the business, recognise that as well. But what I found in the feedback is that a lot of you have said that you're being told to work way and beyond what your job description says, whether that be surveying a job. Now, I don't mean just turning up and thinking, how can I run that cable? I mean, I've seen feedback and received feedback of people doing whole documents of surveying customer premises, taking photos. I've had other examples of engineers having to turn up to schools and to try and get access, which, as we well know from a protection point of view for young people, trying to turn up into a school and sort of almost blag access is totally the wrong way to do things. And we've had engineers try and turn up to data centres, even MOD centres have had feedback, and even though you've been told that those would be on a protected list, you wouldn't turn up there. Well, I've received feedback that says that some of you have been. So I think that does really show that, looking at the feedback, that there are problems here, that if they had come to us sooner, we could have discussed some of this and got it ironed out. And instead, at the moment, it seems like the horse is bolted from the stable at the moment, and we have to try and pull it back a little bit, because it has gone too far, I think, on some of these things. So I'll pass back.
Yeah, I'm just laughing, Josh, because you're very good at your wee acronyms and your wee sayings, actually. The horse is bolted. But it's just, especially, I think there's a list of concerns that Josh is very helpfully actually pulling together for us with a list of examples of what's going on and what's happening. And there's other members of the CWU Openreach National Team that are working alongside Josh as well to do that. And it's right across the desk and the field perspective, because it doesn't just have implications on just the example, the Ethernet engineer. It has the implications on the surveyors, on the controllers, it's right across the whole piece, the knock-on effect that the changes are actually having. And this is where we need to understand, and what we're trying to understand at the minute is the full process. So even what you're talking about there about the schools, so what we're trying to get to the bottom of is, right, through that process, should an engineer be going to a school to try and complete an Ethernet order without having the prior permissions in place via the control, getting that set up for the engineer? So this is where the more information that we get on this and the actual live examples, then the more that we can go to the business to say, like, this doesn't seem right to us. And what should actually be taking place and what should be happening, because it's also about protecting jobs, and especially there's higher graded roles, and they're higher graded roles for a reason. There's training in place for those roles for specific reasons. So even the surveying and Ethernet engineer, they might have learned some of the skills and through their knowledge and experience, but actually having that specific training on surveying, and if something was to happen on the back of that job, you haven't got those skills or that skill set sitting behind you. But also then, what about in the future, if you want to progress your career onto a higher graded role? What then happens if that role doesn't exist anymore, because it's become the business as usual for the lower graded role to do that piece of work? And that's where we just need to make sure that we understand what the boundaries are, so that we can, especially our local reps, can be talking to you as members to say that, right, no, then you shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. You should be doing A, B, and C. But Josh, do you want to even talk about some more examples, like even the job packs and what we're trying to do even around the job packs as well?
Yeah, and this is the wider piece that, we want as much feedback as possible that we can get from you, our members. This is another thing where we're directed by you, that we only found out about this because you guys kicked off about it. So the more information you give us, the more it can help us. And look, some of the feedback around, like you say there, about the job packs, I've seen a few of them, and I would say that they're pretty poor standard. I haven't seen any improvements in these job packs to say, wow, these are really good. I would say they're lacking in information. I've got evidence to show that this one engineer was based and meant to be working in the south of the country, but half of his job pack said he was going to be working up in Aberdeen, and another part of it said he was going to be working up in Northampton. That's just a prime example of a really poor job pack, and this just isn't one example. This is multiple examples.
Yeah. I mean, one of our concerns is about how these job packs put together, because some of them are put together offshore, not involving planners, and undoubtedly there are streamlining of processes that can be done, but at the moment it seems like it's all streamlining and it's not really guided by intelligence in order to do it. So we're hoping you give us the feedback so that we can sit down with Openreach and make sure that, one, we protect jobs, but secondly, we make sure that you're not asked to do things which either is not the correct thing to do in terms of way leaves and entering schools and so on, but also within your skill set, and most importantly, that you're able to do things safely, right? Because there is a safety angle to this as well. So we want your feedback, and we want to, if you go to your local branch and make sure you involve them, but you can also feed it in to us directly. If you write to the CWU with information, I think it's important that you get involved. Tell us your stories so that we know we can then take that to the company.
Yeah.
I think you really touched on the key point is around the safety element as well, because we know that there's been emails and even emails from senior managers who are trying to push for jobs to just get them done. And that we need to make sure that you're protected, that you're doing everything that you should be, following all the safety regulations, that you're doing your assessments beforehand as well to make sure your sites are safe, because it is about that Openreach are trying to compete in the market, but it's making sure that you protect yourself first and foremost, and protect also the public while you're doing it. Because Graham, you touched on another issue as well that we're facing, is one of the way leaves piece as well. We're getting issues with too. But I do want to stress the safety element and making sure that you do remain safe while doing the job. But I don't know whether, Josh, do you want to talk about the way leave piece as well?
I do. Look, yeah, and look, I just emphasise both your points there. Look, safety is first and foremost the most important thing that you'll ever do in the job, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. That's what we're here to defend you for, and you know your own safety as well. That no job is too important for you not to come home to your family. And look, yeah, the way leaves, it has come to our attention, and we have received feedback that people have been told to ignore way leaves, just carry on, just crack on, just do whatever you need to do to get the circuit completed. Now that's all very well and good, but if you ignore a way leave, you can get yourself into a lot of hot water very, very quickly. If you've ignored it and, you know, a complaint does come in that you've ignored a way leave, it's not just going to be your manager or Openreach getting in trouble. It's going to fall onto your head as well because you've ignored it. And that does come back onto the piece that, you know, we have surveyors, we have planners, we have engineers, we have allocators. You all have important roles. You all have job descriptions. You all have terms and conditions and pay and a grade according to that. Now, we want to maintain that. We want to keep that. And I think if we're not careful, Swift can open the back door to potentially those roles moving, merging, disappearing in the future if we are not careful. And I think it's really important that, you know, you understand, and I believe you do, that with the way Swift can work, it can get customers in service quicker. Fantastic. But it could also have a negative knock-on effect to your future prospects and that of your colleagues. And I would just really emphasise what Graham and Fiona have said. We want the feedback. By all means, send it into HQ here, or most of you have got my phone number and email address. By all means, send it to me. It seems to have got around the UK like wildfire.
I didn't want to overload you.
It already has got out there, Graham. So by all means, call me up, email me.
Josh.
Send it to me. I'll happily add it to my rather ever-increasing document size. So look, I think, look, we've raised some really good points here. It's just the final call for more feedback, and, you know, reach out to me and just follow your job description. And if you're getting any pushback from that, speak to your branch, well escalate it, deal with it. You know, you should be working to what you are trained to do and what your job description tells you to do. And if you don't know what your job description says or what it looks like, contact your rep. We'll get hold of it for you. So, yeah.
Do you want to just add, there has been a few positives from people, but there has been a lot of negatives. And that's where we just need to make sure that as what you were saying, Josh, around protecting of the grades, what people's jobs, what their roles are. And that's where the more examples that we have and what people are being asked to do, then we can present that. And that's what we're trying to do, is build that case and that evidence case to say, right, this is what we need to work with Openreach now, to say this is a clear process of what Swift actually should be, and these are the guidelines for each role and what should actually be happening. And I think this is where it's actually good that it's come to light, and even around the job pack piece, because I think there's been some of those issues that have been going on for some time, and this is just bringing it now to the surface as well. And that's where even the piece around some of that work going offshore, it's, can we look at actually that should be done then onshore, because the understanding is there with with our planners, with our surveyors, and how can that be actually possible for us to do. So please, I would urge you, as Josh was saying, we do know that there's been quite a few of you have contacted Josh, but your local branch and your reps are there to get in contact with them. A lot of people have been sending in circuit numbers, so as in that proves then that this is the job that they're actually talking about, and then the business can even look into those circuit numbers then as well to say, right, well actually there was a bit of a mess up here because of X, Y, and Z, and they can't deny it then in the background either. So, but the more evidence log we have of it, if there are positives, by the way, as well, please do let us know, because we're not just here just for the negatives.
No.
And then we can also then, because that means we can negotiate with Openreach to say, well, we've actually heard that this is going well, but these are the elements that aren't, and these are the elements that need to be fixed moving forward. So I would urge.
I think that's a really good point, Fiona. Look, we're not here to, completely, dampen the whole parade on Swift. We do understand that there are positives to it, and we understand why it's come to fruition and what it can mean. It protects jobs at the end of the day. The more work that comes into the business, the more work you've got, the longevity of your job increases. We understand that, we get that. And, there are positive examples out there. I have heard them, I have spoken to people on there. So, Swift can be a positive way forward if it's in conjunction with you, the members, with us as your recognised trade union within Openreach. We can sit and consult with the business of the best way that we think Swift could go. And as we've discussed, that is with our members staying within the business and no derision of their T's and C's or their contracts or their grades, and a collective discussion between you, the members, your trade union, and the business.
I think you've summed up very well, Josh, what is needed. We want the information, but this is what we want from the company to provide you secure jobs, safe, but your grades and your livelihoods protected.
I think I think you have done. Yeah, thank you very much, Josh.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So please get in contact. Thank you.